Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have on Mark Farner. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing, but not mildewing.
Nice, nice. Well played. Mark has been everywhere. He is the history of what you've gone through with Grand Funk is huge. You know, everyone knows about it. But for the people that don't know so much about you that may be new to you, could you give a little bit of a brief bio of your little band history, just a little bit, and then we'll kind of jump into what's going on today? Because I don't want to be too much in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I picked up the guitar when I was 15 years old because my mother felt so bad for me. I was playing football in junior varsity, and we scrimmaged the varsity players, and they kicked our asses. and and I had water on the knee, and I was hurting. And that doctor told my mother I wouldn't be playing any more football. I wouldn't be running track in the fall, and all
What?
the things that I love to do, I wouldn't be able to do that. So, in her mercy and her sympathy towards her oldest son, she got me 6 lessons and rented a K acoustic guitar. And the strings, dude, were this far away from the neck. It would have been
Oh.
better used for a bow and arrow. I started playing when I was 15, got 6 lessons, and I got 3 of them down. And then the guitar player that was teaching me had a hunting accident. It was bird season in Michigan, ringneck pheasant season, when ringneck pheasants were plentiful in Michigan. And this guy shot himself in the foot with a 12 gauge, Sean. So he calls my mom, says, "Well, I'm not going to be able to teach your son anymore. So just have him go watch the high school band." And because I had some friends that played music,
Yeah.
my sister was really tight with them. And so I'd go watch them make the chords, and then I'd go home and oh, that's how and then they started showing me things because those guys, they like to play, but they didn't like to sing. They didn't have the confidence, and they didn't want to sing. So I would sing because
Mhm.
I was in the choir class too. So, and I love to sing. So I would sing the music, and they would play until I got good enough to where I could actually plug the guitar in. My guitar cord, this is back in the coil cord days,
Mhm.
it would go through the amp handle and just hang over the back of the amp until I was good enough to actually plug in. So I got that good, and I plugged in, and I started playing, and played for a year and a half with Dick Wagner in the Bossman. You know, Dick Wagner is, of course, Alice Cooper's guitar player. Ursa Major is a great guitar player and a songwriter. Oh my God, he wrote "Only Women Bleed." I mean, he's a great songwriter. And while I was with Dick Wagner, we were at his apartment one night after a gig we played in Michigan, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning when we got in. His
Mhm.
wife and kids are in the other room sleeping, and we got our electrics out, and we're playing, not amplified, not plugged in, just sitting, how to we just sit there and you're playing, not
Yeah.
bothering the neighbors at all. So I just come out and I said, "Okay, how the hell do you do this?" He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "How do you write all these songs, dude?" He says, "Well, it's inside of me and they just come out." He says, "You can write songs." I said, "I can." It's like he gave me permission. "I can." He says, "Yeah, man, you got songs inside of you. Are you kidding me?" He says, "You got the soul to sing it." He says, "I know it's inside of you." So he goes to bed. I sit up and I write Heartbreaker, which is on the first Grand Funk album.
Yeah.
And it's on this.
That was your first song?
That was my first song. And
Really? That's quite a way to hit it out of the park. I mean, your first song should have been a guitar player teacher that got shot in the foot and couldn't teach you because his foot was shot. That should have been your first song. But
right.
Heartbreaker is a good second there.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
amazing. That's
And
amazing.
it's on the DVD from Chile with Love. And by the way, $3 from each DVD that is sold goes to Veteran Support Foundation. And Veteran Support Foundation is a great organization. It is brothers and sisters, veterans who are serving veterans, helping veterans that are returning home. And these guys don't take a penny, Sean. They do it from the love in their heart, and from their experience, they can advocate for our veterans in front of the Veterans Affairs, the Board of Veterans Affairs. You got to have somebody that is qualified to stand in the gap for you, and these guys do it. So I'm proud to give $3 from every $14.99 DVD.
No, that's awesome. Actually, so people know what we're talking about. Let's step back for 1 minute. We'll go back in your history. So you have a new DVD out,
yes,
right?
From Chile.
From Chile. And this is what we're talking about. We're going to be promoting it, but we're going to meander a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
But that's what you're talking about, this new awesome DVD. And that's where the money's going to come from off of that. So please, it's a great cause. It really is.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. So, I was playing in Dick Wagner's band, and then Terry Knight and the Pack was going, and they lost their bass player. He got drafted. This is during the Vietnam era. And so they said, "Can you play bass?" I said, "I could play guitar. I don't see why I couldn't play bass." I'd never tried it before. So I went and I bought a Burns bass. Are you familiar with the Burns?
I have a little bit, yes.
It's an English thing. But man, that Burns was killer. And I went and played bass with Terry and the Pack for a while. And then Terry was not a good singer. And Brewer and I, the drummer, Don Brewer, and myself, said, we need to fire him because we can both sing better than he can. And that would, put the ball in our hands, and we could run this play. And we did. And that's how I got into the music business. And when we in 1969, it was the Fabulous Pack at that point, because when Terry Knight left, we called it just the Pack, and then we called it the Fabulous Pack, and we did some stuff for Pontiac Motor Division, the Wide Dragon, which Dick Wagner wrote, and then we were out on the East Coast in Boston area. We actually stayed on Cape Cod, which was just across the bridge, and down the road there was this little town called East Sandwich, and here was these guys from
I go there once a year.
Yeah,
if we have a vacation, we go to there. So
awesome. So here we are, these guys from Michigan who never seen the ocean yet, right? So man, dude, we had every starfish, we had all this stuff we we're going to take home, and we're staying in summer cottages. We had two summer cottages right there on the beach. And it was a beautiful thing until the snowstorm hit. And oh my God, it was the worst storm in the history of the world. And the basement things, the crawl space underneath these cottages flooded. So all of our things that we were going to take back to Michigan were frozen in this water in the crawl space, along with the pipes. So you couldn't flush the shitter. You couldn't turn water on and get anything out of the tap. It was frozen. We were melting down snow for the last week that we were there. For the last like 8 days, we go get a pan of snow. Thank God we had natural gas at the kitchen stove, and we had a little gas space heater, Cape Cod. These are not meant to stay all winter in. They just
no, it's not. That's why the part of the story is how were you there at that time of year to begin with? This is what early, not even 70s, right? Late 60s. So it was way less developed.
Yeah, 69, dude. This is 1969.
After August, everyone's got to pack up and leave unless you're like in the middle and you have a house.
Yeah, man. Well, we felt like we wanted to leave, but there was no getting off the Cape. And so the guy at the grocery store fronted us some oatmeal. We didn't have sugar, we didn't have butter, we didn't have milk, we had nothing but oatmeal. And every day we'd ration it out. We'd melt down the snow, cook a little more oatmeal, and think, man, when is somebody going to come and save our asses? Well, two of the guys in the band were married. The keyboard player, Craig Frost, and Kenny Rich, a guitar player from Canada that was playing with us at the time. And by the time Brewer's ma Western Union some money up to a drugstore on the mainland in Massachusetts there, and we hitchhiked up to this drugstore, got the money, and rented a van, put all our equipment in there, and drove back to Michigan. And we go to Delta Promotions, who is the outfit that sent us out there, and they told us, you're going to be doing promotional gigs, and then if you do real good, then we can go back and make some serious money in this market. And we were confident enough to say, well, we're going to do real good because they're going to want us to come back. And so we were thinking the gigs that we had played already, we had played like 4 or 5 gigs. We were thinking we were doing it for free, and the people were eating it up, man. They did like our music. And lo and behold, we found out we were getting paid. And the guy that was bringing us our groceries out to the Cape, he was taking the money.
Oh, so he wasn't fronting your food. Yeah. He was fronting to say, but he was not fronting you the food.
But by the time we got back to Michigan, the guys that were married, their wives threatened to divorce them, and they had to quit the band. And so Brewer and I are sitting there, and we're going, what the hell are we going to do now? And I said, dude, let's just make a 3-piece, and let's not get anybody that's got even a girlfriend, let alone a wife, because we don't want the women messing up the band.
Especially in the early days. You gotta travel.
So there we were, 20 years old. We got Mel Shocker, who was playing with Question Mark and the Mysterians at the time. And we started rehearsing at the Flint Federation of Musicians, the Union Hall on Averill Street in Flint, Michigan. And that's where a lot of the first album was written. I had already written Heartbreaker, but then I wrote, Are You Ready? And on, the first album. And we got an opportunity to play the Pop Festival in 1969, Atlanta, Georgia. It was called Atlanta Pop. And it was a 3-day festival. And the attorneys for Terry Knight, who is now our manager, and he was living in New York City, and his attorneys in the city were doing the legal work for this pop festival. Mm-hmm. So they got us an opening slot to go on at noon at 110 degrees in the shade, dude, in Atlanta.
Hotlanta, right?
Atlanta, buddy.
I've been there.
and they took a reduced fee on doing the legal work and got their band, us, that opening slot. And that was really what kicked it off, because when we got on stage, the fans didn't want us to go off stage. They wouldn't let us leave the stage. They just kept calling us back over and over. It's like, oh my God, they like us. They like us. And then we're talking 185,000 people, dude. I mean, I'd never seen this many people before.
This seems like it's going really fast since the trio to write some songs.
Yeah.
What was the time window from writing the songs to being on that stage? I mean, of the band, how fast was that?
What was the what?
What was the time limit from when you started writing as a trio to being on a stage? That was pretty fast.
Oh, it was. It was, talking about less than 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That would never happen nowadays. That was a good time.
Well, this friend of ours in Michigan loaned us his van, and we rented a U-Haul trailer, and we put all our gear in there, our West amps, and we're going down I-75. And this was before 75 was finished all the way through. And we had to get off and take some side roads. So we're off taking these side roads. And the band had done a gig the night before, so we were all tired, and I was riding shotgun, and Jimmy, who was driving, he was loaned to us along with the van. We got a driver and the van. So Jimmy's driving us. And I look up as I wake up, and it's not quite daylight yet, but it's a little twilight. And I see a sign with an arrow, says I-75, and an arrow go that. I said, Jimmy, this says 75 to the right. And he just jerks that thing, not thinking that there's a trailer on the back of this. And it flips over and down through the ditch. It rolls, the safety chains busted, both of them, blink, just nothing. And we had to unload that thing, take all the equipment out of it, push it over back onto the wheels, load it back with the equipment after we got it up, hooked to the back to the van. And we're going down the side of the expressway. And we know that our stuff is trashed just because of that rolling of that trailer. And some of the transformers had ripped right from the chassis, and they were aluminum chassis and these big ass transformers. So they ripped right off of the chassis, and the wires broke, and it was all, oh my God. So when we get, on the expressway and we're going, all of a sudden this wheel passes us. And I look back and the sparks are flying. It came off our trailer, dude. It's this thing. I went, oh my God, what the hell is that? And we had to retrieve this wheel. It had gone over into the northbound lane and almost hit this semi truck right in the, right in the windshield, but luckily bounced off the top of the cab, like boom, and way the hell and gone. And we went and retrieved it. And by the time we got back over there, I mean, we're running late in the first place. We said, oh my God, we got to put this thing back on. How are we going to do that? Well, we took a couple of lug nuts off the wheel on the other side. So we're going down and these wheels are doing this, dude. It's like, oh my God. We're just on the shoulder of the road going very slow. But the very next exit had U-Haul trailers. And so we swapped that thing out for a good one, got it all fixed up, and beat feet for Atlanta. And when we got to Atlanta, we pull in, and we've got less than an hour before the show starts, and we got to be on stage at noon. So the guys are looking at this and they're shaking their heads and they're going, oh my God, the amps are trashed. Look at this. And all these other roadies at that time came over and they said, oh my God, you guys need some help, man. So they had soldering irons and they had shit going. And it was all these other band roadies saw that we needed help, and they came in, and there must have been a dozen roadies that were, soldering
like a pit crew.
It was amazing, Sean, and got us. I mean, when I got up on stage, here's the transformers sitting up on top of the head, but they had, put wires in, color matched them, and extended them so that the transformer could sit up top, and it worked. It worked. I can't tell you why, but it worked. And the people loved it, man. And I was very respectful of those other guys, man, that helped us out so that we could be on stage on time. It wasn't like, oh, you guys are too bad, you're going to have to hustle your ass off. No, they jumped in there and said, come on, man, we'll get you on stage. It was great. And that was
awesome.
Yeah, man. But that kind of stuff hardly ever happens anymore. Just saying.
No, that's crazy. It really feels like it just, you guys must have been laughing at one point, right? You guys caught the comedy of it when the tire goes by. It's like, like a National Lampoon's comedy skit or something, right? You guys, there's so much tragedy. You had to laugh at some point.
Exactly, dude. But we opened at 12 noon. We were on that stage. We did our set.
Right at noon, hot sun noon. Oh,
yeah, buddy. Oh. But the next day, we went on at 7 p.m.
Ooh.
So they moved us up, it wasn't nearly as hot at 7
Yeah.
as it was at noon. And then the last night, we went on at 11 o'clock under the lights, and we had the full blown, spotlights and everything. And that was the first time I'd ever been on a stage that had spotlights, dude. And they had the Super Troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really loved that shit. So, we got off to a good start, and that 185,000 people were not all from Atlanta. They were from all over the country, as you well know. That back then, the pop festivals drew people, from every state, and from Canada and from the other countries would come to the pop festivals. We played Texas International in Louisville, Texas, and we played. What was the other one up there in Montreal? Strawberry Fields. We played the festival with what was that? Joe Cocker and Mad Dogs and Englishmen. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah. Well, this was
I have the record.
yeah. Well, this was a festival that was played out in Michigan, and as the cars full of people would come in, that's, they'd pay right there at the booth, cash, boom, boom, boom. This is a long time before credit cards. So everything was cash. And we are up there playing our hearts out. We get off stage and find out the promoter says, somebody pulled in with guns and stole the money from. Yeah, it was a setup. It was bullshit. and nobody got paid, including Joe Cocker and the Mad Dogs and the Englishmen. Nobody that was playing that night got paid. And so we kind of got introduced to.
That's your second time of being ripped off for playing, right? So far,
Yeah.
we can tally here. I need like a chalkboard or a big whiteboard here to keep up with this.
That's
I
right.
feel there's a pattern forming here.
Yeah. Yeah. But, that's some of the history. And of course, Shea Stadium, flying over the stadium and watching the stadium physically bouncing as Humble Pie is on stage, which was set up at second base. We had a hell of a PA system. No monitors, but we had a hell of a PA. I was singing and playing to front of house.
So I was going to ask for the sound, because notoriously the Beatles had the issue with they couldn't hear their speakers in, the old story, yeah. But like you actually had the right speakers for the right job.
Yes. And Shea Stadium was a semicircle, so that the focal point for that semicircle was second base, dude. And when all those people started singing Closer to Home, it was coming to my ears like, oh my God, listen to them singing. They're singing my song. Oh my God, thank you, Lord. Oh my God, this is some great shit, man. And me just telling you just now, Sean, I'm getting goosebumps because I'm going back there.
It's got to be powerful. I couldn't even imagine what it's like to have a song you wrote and just have thousands of people just singing it back to you.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, pinch me.
Got to keep you grounded, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So you guys had a couple of good albums in, and you guys were rocking. Let me ask you. So you guys actually you did a couple cover songs too.
Yeah.
Two. Some Kind of Wonderful Look. How did you choose those songs? Just I was kind of curious about like what made you decide those songs.
Well, when we did Some Kind of Wonderful,
which is hands down the best version, is yours. I love that. I'm glad you guys did that one because I love that.
Thank you. Well, Jimmy Einer was the producer, and we had did like some gigs just prior to this session in New York City at the record plant, and the manager at the time, Andy Cavalieri, God rest his soul, he said, "What the hell is that song that you guys keep singing in the back of the limo on the way to the gigs. It was because we used to warm up with it some kind of. And I said, "What is it?" I said, "You never heard that before? That's a Soul Brothers 6, man. That's some kind of wonderful." John Ellison wrote that song. He said, "Well, you guys need to record it." He says, "I think that would be a big hit." So when we went in with Jimmy Einer, he loved it. And of course we did Bad Time to Be in Love was on that same album. And we had great airplay. Some Kind of Wonderful went to #1. Bad Time, I got an award, a BMI award in 1975 for that song being played more than any other song that year.
Wow.
And it was thanks to all the fans who were calling the DJs, because this is back when you could do that. The deregulation happened in 1996, but prior to the deregulation, you could own 7 AM, 7 FM, 7 television stations, and it kept it in the hands of American families, patriotic families, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, people with moral conscience over what our children saw and heard. And when people called in and kept requesting Bad Time to Be in Love, they had to play it, man. They had to play it. So even though my song didn't go to #1, it got played more than the one that did.
Well, that's the power of fans and not the power of payola and the suitcases of cocaine,
Yes, that is definitely the point, brother. And
that is how decisions were made in radio stations, who had the bigger suitcase of drugs or money, or who made a better deal for the time and the airing.
Yeah. And as far as locomotion, Todd Rundgren was producing our album, and he was in Michigan at the Swamp, the studio that was across the street from my farm that we lovingly called the Swamp. We had to dig a pond in order to get a perk test there so we could put the studio in. And it was back in the woods. It was way at the back of the property, 80 acres over there. And I had gone home to the farmhouse to eat lunch, and I'm coming back down to the studio, and the driveway, of course, is a dirt road and a dirt driveway. There's no paved anything. And I'm just loving it because it's a beautiful, sunshiny summer day. And I could hear the guys in the parking lot. I couldn't see them yet, but I could hear them talking. They were out having a smoke and what have you. And I come walking down this driveway to the studio. Everybody's doing a brand new dance now. And they start singing the backgrounds. Come on, baby. And Rundgren comes walking out just as I walk around the corner of these trees. And I go across this little bridge we had there. He comes walking out of the end of the studio because, the studio door was wide open, such a great day. And he goes, "What the hell is that?" I said, "What do you mean, what is that?" He said, "That song, man. What is that?" I said, "That's a Little Eva, man. That's the Locomotion." He says, "Well, get your ass in here because we're going to do the Locomotion right now, man. This is it. This is hot." So we go in, and this is the days of 2-inch magnetic tape, 24 tracks, right?
Yep.
So he would hit the red button, the record button, and come out into the studio, and he's clanging the ashtrays together and singing all the real high falsetto parts. And then when I took my guitar lead, he walks over to the Echoplex, he grabs that tape head, and he takes it from one end to the other. And it sounded like the guitar was eating itself. Just, oh my God. And he was grinning ear to ear. And that song was a big hit because we were having fun with it. I'm telling you, we had so much fun recording that song in the studio. It couldn't help but be a hit.
Infectious.
Yeah, man. And thank God for that.
Well, it's because the reason why I ask is because you guys had so many strong songs. Sometimes bands they have to do them. They need a good filler, a good, you know what I mean? Because the songs, they don't have that many good songs. My Captain, I mean, you had some killer of your own songs. Like, you didn't, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't need other songs to add to you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well,
You know,
Carole King actually wrote Locomotion, and Little Eva was Carole King's housekeeper. And Carole King is sitting at the piano writing Locomotion, and she's singing it, of course. And then she hears Little Eva singing it a little while later in the kitchen. And she walks in there and goes, "Oh my God, I love your voice. You need to record this song." And she took her down, got her the deal, the record deal. And that song went to #1, like by 3 different artists. And Grand Funk was, of course, number 2. But Little Eva, God bless her, man. I love that. And I loved her voice, dude. Man, Little Eva had the shit together.
that is awesome. It's good that she got some recognition too. I mean, it's good. It's good when the songs get a little more life, and it hopefully brings people back to that artist originally. You know,
Yeah,
if I
man.
hear something from an artist, I always go, "Well, who did the version?" I have to check it out. I gotta go deep. You know,
Yeah.
deep dive.
Yeah,
You know?
buddy. Yeah.
So notoriously, the band split, and you started doing your own thing for a while, and you guys were always back and forth. But at one point, when you started doing more solo stuff, you started your influence of religion and Christianity, and the lyrics started to change too.
Yeah,
Did that just evolve, or was it more of a conscious effort?
it was in 1976. Don Brewer came into rehearsal, and he was an hour and a half late, and he was never late for anything. And so we figured, man, I wonder if he got in a car accident. You know, I mean, your mind just goes,
right.
Here's a guy that's very punctual that's not there. So he comes in late, and he announces to everybody in the control room. He walks in, he says, "You guys, I'm over it. I got to find something more stable to do with my life." He says, "I quit." I said, "What?" He says, "I'm over it." And he walks out. He
Out of
quit.
the blue?
Yeah, it's just out of the blue. So, and people thought that I broke the band up, but I didn't break the band up. Brewer broke the band up. It was him that said he wanted to do something more stable with his life. So I went and I started forming my solo band right then. And of course, cut a couple of records for Atlantic, 1977, 1978. No Frills in 78, and just Mark Farner on a White Horse in 77. That's the one that Dick Wagner produced. And at the time, the guy who signed me was the vice president of Atlantic, and he got shit canned. So I was there with no friends and no promotion, but I still played out. And and it wasn't until 1981, I think it was, when Mel Shocker says to me, "Farner, man, we need to put the band back together." I said, "Well, see if Brewer wants to." He was the one that called it quits. You know, he was the one that broke the band up.
There was never thought to play without him.
Well,
I
I was doing my own solo thing,
right.
But I never said I was Grand Funk. I always said Mark Farner of Grand Funk. I wouldn't lie to people, man.
While you are the guitar and you are the voice of it, you write the songs.
Yeah, I wrote
some bands. So
right.
In some bands you can do that. You can be like, well, each person makes up a good part of the band. I'm not taking away from the other members, the drum sound, the bass sound, but we're doing like the position of a couple people in the band, you know?
Yeah. So anyways, we got back together because Brewer agreed to do it. And then in 1982, I was in Hong Kong when I got the message that our manager had died. Andy Cavalieri, God rest his soul. And so I canceled my trip to Australia because I was out doing some promotions with Peavey Electronics, Peavey Corporation. That was doing clinics all over the world. And I had to cancel my trip to Australia, like I said, and I returned back to the US in time to go to the funeral and pay my respects to the family. And that we tried to get all of the paperwork and the things that were in our manager's office,
Mhm.
but the executor of the estate would not give us anything, and the band broke up. Long story short, the band broke up, and then we didn't play again until 1996. Was the year after my Ringo Starr and the All Star Band experience,
Which is awesome.
and we played for 96 and 97, and those guys said, well, we don't want you playing any solo shows because it'll be competition for the Grand Funk shows. I said, okay, for a period of 2 years, I'll do that. But dude, I got, solo shows. I can go, I could be out when we're not playing. I could be playing,
Right.
doing shows. Be playing, making more money. So anyway, make a long story short, it was in 1998. It was in the third year. It was because the first year we only had done like 14 shows out there. But then David Fishoff, who does Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, he also had done Ringo Starr's All-Star Band tours. He was a promoter for that. He told me, he says, we need to do something for Bosnia because they really need some help, and we need to help that country. They're the children's hospital over there needs some help. Why don't we do a series of shows? He says, and I'll manage you guys. And it was great because we did the Bosnia album. We played in Detroit, and we had Peter Frampton as a special guest in Detroit, and Ted Nugent. And then we played New York City, and we had Leslie West in New York City. And then we played LA. We had Slash and Billy Preston for special guests. And we did the Bosnia album. And we put a wing on a hospital in Sarajevo. So it was a good effort. And then one night the drummer comes to my room and he says, Farner, we all need to take our individual ownership of the trademark and sign it into the corporation where it'll have this protective umbrella. I didn't finish high school, Sean, and he had gone to law school, and I thought, hey, he's looking out for the best interests of the band. Hey, I'll do that. I said, and this was after a party. We had after show party, had a few drinks, and I wasn't looking out.
No, it was a trusting a friend. This was before Behind the Music came out, and everyone heard all the bad stories.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'll do that. He says, okay, man, I'll go to my room and get the papers. And when he went, I thought, well, why the hell didn't he just bring the papers with him? But I was in no frame of mind to reason at that point. When he brought them back, I signed the papers. And that gave Don and Mel the authority, because it's 2 out of 3 in a corporation, to throw me out as an officer of the corporation. And they went out with the 3 other guys and call it Grand Funk Railroad, which is a crying shame that they couldn't say Grand Funk Revisited or something to give the fans a heads up that it's not the genuine article, that it's not the real Grand Funk, because the guy who wrote and sang 92% of the music is not with this band.
Well, as the dust settles, if you've looked at any pages where the music is, you see like a live thing of them now. The guitarist, I think Bruce Kulick's a good guitar player and all, but if you look at the sites where the comments are, every comment is about you not being in the band, how it's not the band on their YouTube page. Everyone's very aware. It's like it's so known. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. And I feel sorry for the fans, man. I feel sorry for the fans because a lot of the fans told me they went to see those guys, and when I wasn't there, they were disappointed, of course, and they walked out. So I feel sorry for them, and I'm just, I'm sorrowful because the two guys were not honest with our fans. It's like, that's a smack in the face to the fans to have them think that they can put three new guys in the band and call it Grand Funk. And
Well, it's a couple smacks because beyond that, those are guys that you've been touring with, you know, and doing everything else,
yep,
and it feels like it was a planned coup behind your back. Like they knew once they got the rest of the power, they could
yep,
distribute it that way. That's
yep,
like the time behind you is kind of like they were your buds, I
yeah,
assume, and that's your band and your best friends. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like getting divorced and then having your dog get away too. You lose everything. You know, you're
right.
not expecting the left turn.
Yeah, but really the only thing they could be while I'm still alive and sucking air, the only thing that they could be is a tribute band. Because for years, for 22, 23 years, I've been pleading with them to do the best thing for the corporation. I say, you know, uh, officers of the corporation have a fiduciary duty to do what they can to produce the most income. I said, I've been willing, I've been encouraging you to let's go back as the original band and make the most money
I was
and
gonna say
and
payday would be bigger.
satisfy the fans who are really responsible for us being anybody that, I mean, in the first place, they were the ones that made us who we are, the fans are, and we could give them what neither one of us can give them apart from each other. So I did that for 20, like I say, 22, 23 years. And now I'm over it. I'm not going to plead with them anymore. I'm over it. I don't need to do that. I'm who I am. I still play my music. I got a great band. And I got guys that sing and play, but Hubert Crawford, who is a drummer that I met him when we played a show in Montgomery, Alabama, and the bill was War, Grand Funk, and James Brown. And it was a street
Wow.
festival, dude. And it was, tens of thousands of fans. And I met Hubert, who ended up playing. He told me, yeah, he was a James Brown's drummer. And he told me that he learned how to play listening to Don Brewer. And I said, so you know all the Grand Funk songs? Oh, yeah. He says, I know them. And then my son, Jason, who was on the road with me at the time, he says, Dad, I think you and Hubert are going to be playing music together. I said, really? I mean, this was years before it actually happened. But then when the time came and I needed a drummer, I had his number and I called him up. I said, hey, do you want to play drums, with Mark Farner? He goes, man, I would love to do that. So our first rehearsal, he knew everything. He knew every song because this is what he was raised up on. This is what he learned how to play drums to. And Don Brewer is his guy, his drum guy. Just like Jimi Hendrix is my guitar
Yeah.
guy, that's the way it is. So my band is an
It's
energetic
good.
band. It's not Grand Funk. It's not.
No, but it's a good band. They are good. I've seen a lot of live stuff. I
Yeah.
know.
And we give the audience a great show. And because we love each other and we love the music, the fans get it. We have a great time on stage. If I wasn't having a good time, Sean, I wouldn't be there, brother. I got to be having a great time.
I don't know how you do it. You look great. I mean, I don't even know how you can perform at that level. Your voice hasn't changed as because your peers, the voices are changing for people. You know, in the 50s and 60s, voices are just going out the window for a lot of artists, and yours is not even faltering.
Well, I
You're
appreciate it.
shredding on your guitar. You know,
Yeah. Um, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful. But I'm a spiritual guy. I know that inside of this bone suit is the real me, and that someday this bone suit will expire. It's got
right?
an expiration date someplace on this thing. I haven't found it, but the spirit within us, sometimes that spirit pushes this bone suit beyond the bone suit's capabilities, and you stumble, you trip, you stub your toe.
Yeah, but I think you've got some good genetics too, and a little more than just spirituality. Because some people can be very spiritual and be in some bad shape
I hear
as
you.
you get older. It's got nothing to do with spirituality. It's got something to do with your body and your genetics. And I
Yeah.
think it's a gift you have that's keeping you rocking. Are
Hallelujah.
you
Well,
doing anything though to keep your hands and your voice in shape?
I exercise by reason of use. you know, I play that guitar. Sometimes I get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll play for a couple of hours, electric,
Mhm.
where it's not going to wake up my wife. But my wife, Lisa, and I have been married 44 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is an amazing amount of time
Yeah. And
that she hasn't smothered you with a pillow. That's how
she's
I'm glad I know it.
she's my better 3/4, brother. Yeah, if it wasn't for her keeping my shit together, I wouldn't have the life. I wouldn't have the time to put in to my music. But she loves it when I'm in playing my music. And Mark Slaughter and myself are working together. And you know who Mark is? He from
Oh
the
yeah.
group Slaughter.
Yeah. Yep.
And he was on Howard Stern with me.
I saw that. That was a good performance. Oh my God.
Thank you. Yeah, I loved it. And we had Kip Winger on bass, Sandy Gennaro on drums. We had Teddy Zigzag, from Guns N'
Good
Roses on
roses.
keyboards, and Bruce Kulick, who is now the guitar player for the Faux Funk.
Right, that's right. Nice, good call.
And and so when I listen back to that, when I'm on stage singing, I'm not listening to the other players. I'm only listening to me, and I have to stay in that zone to stay with it, to stay in character, right? But when I listened back and I heard Slaughter singing that, "Am I in my," he's doing the high harmony in that bridge, and I thought, wow, man, that's good. He hit it, and he hit it. He did not say he hit it in key, and he's playing, and it was very complimentary to what I was doing. And then he sends me a while back. He sends me a tape of a tape. I call it a tape, but a digital thing of some songs that he had worked on, and it's bitching. I mean, really good production. I commented on it. I said, Mark, man, that's some good production. Who's doing your production? He said, me. And I want to produce you. I want you to sound this good. And I know that you've got some music. And so we've been working on songs, and him and I wrote a song. I had the basic track of it when I got to his place in Tennessee. It's called Anymore. And I want people to look for that song. And when it comes out, man, it's going to touch hearts. The truth is in there, but it's really produced well. And I've done a couple of other songs that we've started, and we are working back and forth. And I just got a Kemper. You know what that is?
Yep. Yep.
A Kemper. So that I can do parts from my house in Michigan, and he can lay it in the grooves, in the tracks in Tennessee. But he is producing my stuff, and I'm gonna go back down there and do some vocals and do some stuff. When we're together, it's magic. It really is magic, because he's part Native American. The same as me. My wife is part Native American, and we have something in the blood here that people need to feel. And I'm looking forward to finishing doing some stuff and getting it out there where people can feel the goodness of this music. And the intention is love from our heart, brother. Both of us are there.
He's always been a grounded person anyhow. You never heard any rock star stories. I know he's underrated as a guitar player, like as a producer. and he's got a million voices. That's his gift,
Yeah,
just his
yeah.
voices can do. So this is excellent to hear you guys working together. And, that is going to be fantastic. So is it going to be like an album or like just like the digital singles like people are doing nowadays? How are you going
Well,
to release it?
we're going to do an album,
A
or
whole
an
album?
EP or an album. It's going to be more than, just one song for sure. We've
Good, good.
got 3 or 4 of them started, and I've sent another 5 of them down to them. So we'll definitely do it.
Oh, do an album.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you know what that brother did? He gave me a guitar that Forrest Lee Jr. made, and it's called, I named her Miss USA because it looks kind of like a telly body shape, the style
Yep.
of a telly, and it's got the single coil, but it's got a pull push on the tone control for a boost. It's got a little boost in the circuit, and then it's got the humbucker on the neck, but it's painted metal flake star blue, red, white, and blue with the stars, and it's then the neck, dude. Oh my God, it's the slickest neck I've ever touched. And this guy, I'm telling you, he can make guitars. Holy crap, Forrest Lee Jr. I'd never heard of him, and the thing weighs like 5 pounds, 5.383. That's all it weighs.
I'll have to Google that. So before we wrap up, I do want to ask a couple gear questions for you. Because you're talking about now with that guitar, because your other guitar, you generally don't your volume, you kind of don't really do a volume. So this one having the boost on, it's kind of interesting, a little different for you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, man.
Where's your main guitar right now? The same one you've been using, or?
My main guitar right now is a Parker Fly. I've been using it ever since '96. And Parker Flies are great. If you get one that was made in Cambridge, Mass, the ones that were produced after it moved out of Kenny Parker's hands, they don't have the craftsmanship. They don't have the fit and finish that those first 10 years when it was Cambridge, Mass. There was.
Did you keep it stock? Is it a stock guitar? Is the guitar totally stock?
Oh, totally. Totally,
You didn't
man.
change it?
But I had Kenny make a hardtail, and Larry Fishman and Kenny, they love me. So they said, man, we'll make you what you want. And so I've got 2 nice hardtails that are both right around 5 pounds. And both of them have a different voice. Of course, no 2 guitars are ever going to sound exactly the same, but I'm a tone maniac. I love the tones. I got to have the fullness of the tones. I can't have screeching or any of that. I got to have, if it's an overdrive, I want that tone in back of it, man. And I want that wood coming through.
What are you using for strings? How what's the gauges on that?
Diodarios, EXL 140s. It's like a 52 on a top and a 10, or is Diodario. All right.
Yeah, I got some stuff.
Yeah, man. That's a great company.
They're awesome.
Yeah, I love Steve Lobmeyer. He's the rep, and he's a good dude. He's a patriot, and he takes care of me. He really does.
It's a good family-owned company. They have a good reputation. They're good, solid people. They have a good mission statement.
Yeah, man. And they care. I mean, that pack of strings it's got some kind of gas in the envelope that keeps them pristine until you open it. It's not exposed to oxygen or the air or anything. And every pack of EXL 140s that I put on, or Jage, my guitar tech, and I met him when I was playing with Ringo, and I told my wife Lisa, I said, whatever, if I could get that guy for my guitar tech, whatever it takes, I need to have him, because I've never seen anybody as conscientious, as quick, as knowledgeable. But he's been out with everybody from Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson, uh, Melissa Etheridge. I mean, he's been out with everybody. Seriously, Joe Walsh. He's been out with the Eagles. I mean, he's been out, and he's been, not only has he been my guitar tech and stage manager for all these years, he's my best friend, dude. He's really a good soul on this planet.
Awesome. That's the best part of this whole thing and this whole story is that you're happy and you're playing and you're enjoying it. And that's what it's all about. I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
know,
Amen. And it shows when you get on stage, man. If you're happy, that audience is going to be happy.
it is. It is true. This has been fantastic. So I want people to go back. Let's say it again. The new DVD.
Mark Farner's American Band, From Chile with Love.
That's right. And $3 of it goes to the Veterans
Support Foundation.
Right. We'll have all the links. We'll have the links for everything of all your stuff and the Veterans right underneath the show when we post this.
Thank you.
Everybody can check that out too. Okay.
That. I appreciate that so much. God bless you, man. Thanks for helping our brothers and sisters.
And one last thing. There's a song, Never and Always. And we're going to end on this one. This is just a hint of you doing a song and then adding Mark Slaughter on top of it. It is such a nice song. And the video and the concept is fun.
Thank you.
It's very creative. It's done really well because, nowadays a lot of videos are kind of done. The quality is not always the same. This one is actually shot like it's a movie.
Yeah.
It has a plot.
It was done by the same people who shot the video at Teatro Caupolicán in Santiago. And it is Abismo Films. And Carlos, my God, he heard that song and he says, Brother Mark, I'm just going to put something together. And that's what he put together, dude. He says,
put it together, right?
Yeah, man. He said, I'm just going to throw something together. And then once he had it so far along, he says, I'd like to get you in. And he told me about laying, in a hotel room, laying in a bed and getting up. Right. I said, I think I could do that. I think I could do that.
That was an easy part of the treatment for you, right? Of the
yeah, man.
But it's a very powerful song, and it's kind of good because it's a good video. A weak weird video would have really kind of killed the song and not really given it the attention. Yeah, because it's a really powerful song. I mean, the fact you're writing songs that strong still, from 70 to now, that's insane. That is.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
So I encourage people to go to the website. It's a really good website, and he's got Rock and Roll Soul. That's a good fun song that he does live. Actually, on a CD, I believe, right? DVD, and the videos on there. There's a ton of stuff on there, references to the veterans. So it's chock full of stuff. It's been a great thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing this release with you and Mark Slaughter too. We'll have to have you back to talk about the album.
Yeah, man.